back in the 1950s, most people aren't aware of it, but there was a scientific storm in America all through the late 50s about this thing out there in space, because the astronomers were all watching it, and that was back when they weren't afraid to talk about it. It was in the science magazines. I mean, I had a subscription to, like, Popular Science, and hell, it was on the front cover of the magazine one day in, like, 1961. And I was really excited when I saw it, because here's this giant red planet on the horizon of the California coast, and a humongous tidal wave coming in towards the coast, and having grew up in the mountains of the Sierras, and this thing in the magazine, it said this tidal wave coming in was going to be at least 3 miles high, and I went in and showed it to everybody in the house, and they laughed, and they said, look, it says right here, there's nothing to worry about. It won't be here for another 50 years. Hey, guess what? That 50 years has came and gone. And this baby's out there in the sky. They've been watching it. I watched it. And I can tell you, this thing has got so much trash coming around it. You know how we live in a solar system? We've got 9 planets and a big sun. This thing has got 7 planets and its own sun. But I believe that instead of having dirt on it like our planet does and water, I think this thing is just a big bright reddish-orange iron ball, because it's giving off all this red iron oxide dust out into the atmosphere. When we saw it at first, it was just a teeny little red speck of fuzzy red dust in the distance, but over the years as it went by and we watched it, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, about 2008, we could see this thing like it was across the street. And we could see that it was a blazing hot ball of fire, giving out sparkles of red iron oxide dust for thousands of miles in every direction. And you could see the planet circulating it. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I really am nervous about. I think this thing's got a planet like ours circling it. This is its own solar system. We're about to have a solar system come through the middle of our solar system. This can't be good. But unfortunately, it looks as though that's what's going to happen. Hopefully nothing in this mess will hit us, even though it does say it will in the Bible, at least as it does in my Bible. It says we can expect all kinds of problems. We were looking at asteroids right close to this thing. There's asteroids that are floating around right near the, that are orbiting the main sun itself. These things appear to be about 500 miles across. And as you go back into the tail, you get into meteorites that go back for millions of miles in the tail. This thing looks like a giant red teardrop-shaped dust cloud. And you can see, if you're able to see it up close like we did, you can see every speck out there. I guarantee you there's trillions of meteorites following this thing. Now, these CIA people that I know say that we're not going to be that close to it when it goes past us. They're saying that in order to attain breakaway speed, when it comes up around the backside of the sun, its speed will at least double, possibly more, which will put it here earlier than everybody is saying it will. And that this thing will probably be about 20 million miles from us when it crosses in front of us. And then as soon as it flips us upside down, we're going to go into its debris field tail and be pelted with meteorites. And of course in the Bible it says they will talon 70 pounds. So if you've got 70-pound meteorites falling like hail, and I can guarantee you they will be falling like hail because there are that many in the tail of this thing. This thing has got a tail loaded with trash. I mean, it's incredible the amount of stuff that's in this thing's tail. And we're going to go right through that tail, and if it doesn't beat everything on the surface of the ground into a flat putty, I don't know what it'll take. I tell everybody, you better be at least 20, 30, 40, 50 feet on the ground and have either concrete or stone above you, because it'll break through the roof or whatever you've got if you don't. These CIA guys told me that this pole shift will probably happen from start to finish in around 28 minutes. That doesn't give you a lot of warning. When you see that thing out there in the sky, you're going to have to run as fast as you can to your underground facility, because this is going to happen so fast. Now, see, here's another thing nobody's talking about. You've got this giant iron planet that they say is 47,000 miles across, getting ready to come up past us. And when it starts to approach us, it's going to start and have real serious effects.
So is it a planet or a failed star?
It's not a failed star. You know, I saw this thing up close. It did not look like a failed star. It looked just like our sun.
Right.
Okay? Would you call our sun a failed star?
No. Okay, well, you had said planet. I wasn't sure if it was like a failed star brown dwarf or a full sun. So it's a full sun?
It looks to me like a miniature sun, just like the one we have. The only difference is our sun is giving off flames and stuff, and this one's doing the same thing as it, but it's giving off this red iron oxide cloud of dust around it, and until it got close, we couldn't even tell what was in there. We could see it was hot, and it looked like it was just a dull red when we were first able to discern it through the red cloud. But as it approached, it started to become more apparent that this thing is just orange hot. I mean, to tell how hot it is, I was told that they estimated between 5 and 10 million degrees, but, you know, I don't really know, if that's right or not. I mean, it's got to be pretty hot because it's sending all of this red iron oxide dust out into space around it.
Right.
And it's got this enormous, and I mean enormous, at least 50 or 100,000 miles on each side of it, this red dust cloud that goes all the way around it. I know when we were watching it, as it started to make the upward swing to approach behind our sun, it was amazing. The red dust cloud settled down. Instead of being round, it started to settle down into a V, like wings, upside down wings.
Right.
And I thought, boy, I wonder if that's where the ancient Sumerians got the idea this thing had wings, because, you know, centrifugal force is a funny thing. When it comes back up around the planet, when we see it in the sky, my guess is it's going to look like it's got wings, because centrifugal force is going to be pulling the red iron oxide dust and particles out to one side, and then as it starts to climb out and go away from us, listen, I was told that this thing's magnetic field is going to be so strong, anybody that does not have a padded lead helmet to wear will have their brain gutted for everything they ever knew, and they'll be a complete raving moron after this thing passes. They'll they won't know, they'll pee in their pants. They won't have a clue what's going on, because this thing will gut their brain. And you know, I was reading a deal in my Bible. It says that after this happens, that nobody will care because they won't be able to remember it. Well, of course, I was told by somebody the reason that is because the electromagnetic field from this thing will be so strong, because, see, as it comes up underneath of us, it's going to start and pull us toward it. And then, just like a pair of big magnets, all of a sudden it's going to lock onto us. And when it does, it's going to be like the Jolly Green Giant hit the earth in the ass. It's going to send a jolt 500 to 1,000 foot high. This is what I'm told. 500 to 1,000 foot high shock waves all the way around planet Earth. They'll be so bad that in a lot of areas that don't have good solid soil, it'll fluff it so badly that you'll practically be like you're standing in quicksand. And that this thing's magnetic field will literally gut your brain of everything. And so you may want to give some thoughts to getting you some sheet lead, build you a little lead helmet to wear, you know, like a little motorcycle helmet to protect your entire brain and the back of your neck, so that way this can't happen. Because, you know, if these guys are right about this, and I'm pretty sure they are, because I know for a fact they know what they're talking about when they say stuff. And so, you know, and it does sound reasonable to me, knowing what I do about electromagnetic energy, that this could happen.
So what you're hearing, folks, is the interview with a CIA buddy that saw exactly what we're talking about, going way back. He looked through the Hubble telescope. He says, I saw, like it was across the street. So when you have first-hand eyewitness that says, I saw it, he's describing what he saw. Now we know, we can tell he's not an astronomer. He doesn't even say the word correctly. He's probably not that educated in any of the field of science when it comes to this. But he was lucky enough to have a buddy that was there. He could take a glance into the Hubble telescope and see something that probably scared the bedoodles out of him. And they were looking at this thing back in the day when it wasn't being covered up, because they felt there was enough time. There was enough time to prepare down the road. It wasn't an immediate risk, so no big government cover-up yet. But then once somebody got a hold of it and said, listen, we can't let this cat out of the bag, because it might not seem dangerous today, but there'll be enough people making some waves, pardon the pun, that's going to cause some controversy and some conspiracy theories start running wild. So obviously it got covered up for a while, and then probably about the mid-70s, early 80s is when it resurfaced again. So here we are, folks. In 2017, 50 years later, after this insider has given his account of what he saw with the Hubble telescope back in the 60s. So we know the government has known about this for a long time. They have covered this up. And we have steadily uncovered the information, whether it be the U.S. Navy flood map, to all the information about Nibiru, Nemesis, and its planets in the solar system that's coming through our solar system. The data has been there. We have painstakingly uncovered it, and with the advent of the internet, the computer, and the social media, we have been able to pass this information along to one another very quickly. And so we know that the effects of what's happening with this solar system passing through us from history of recorded events is real. There's very biblical foundational proof that's happened in the past, whether it be pole shift of the Earth flipping on its axis, the flooding and the tsunamis that come along with that, the melting of the polar caps, the sea level rise, the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the shaking, the earth crust breaking apart, all has been recorded, and we have been projecting the effects coming soon. The size of this Nemesis system in comparison to the Earth is staggering. Thus why the government has covered this up for all these years. Executive orders written to protect the American people from the truth. And rightly so, because we know how difficult it would be to evacuate 70 million people off the coastlines. And the government has done that too. They realize the pitfalls in regard to moving this many people to safety. But for those of us that do watch these videos and research ourselves to find the proof in the photos of the coming Nibiru and Nemesis system, the collection of these 7 planets that are in our solar system affecting us now will continue to increase. By the time we see it in the sky with the effects coming in, that will be too late. Our time is now to begin acting on these gut feelings and research and data that we have put together, these collective ability of seeing these things before we start seeing the tsunamis flood into the coastlines. Because when this pole shift alignment happens, when Nibiru and Nemesis and the other planets and moons come in proximity to this Earth, it will happen so quickly we will not have time to do anything. The commentator in this video that gave his account said that this pole shift will happen in approximately 30 minutes. So this effect of the oceans and sea level rise will happen very rapidly. We see the asteroid shower, meteor shower, happening on August 12th. We have a solar eclipse coming on August 21st. We have the September 23rd alignment of all the planets and stars, according to prophecy in Revelation 12. This year, September 23rd, 2017. It's no coincidence that this alignment of the celestial sign, the harbinger warning of the events coming, that it coincides with all these other things that we've been researching for these past several years. So the time is now, folks, to make the move, know exactly where and what you're going to do with the like-minded people within your group. This is not something that we can just overlook. The government has spent decades preparing for this. Many of us have spent at least 5 to 7 to 10 years researching all this. We have seen the proof of the theories by watching the sunsets and sunrises across the globe at different time intervals and different locations, from South America to the UK to Halifax, Nova Scotia, up north. We have seen photos like this. We just don't have two suns appearing because it looks pretty. There's a major reason why we're seeing this. So for those who have done the research and have the gut and instinctive feeling inside to say it's time, I employ all of you to pray, be led by your spirit, share with others, and make a move. Act on what you're seeing and feeling and make it happen now, before it's too late. Because when we see it in the sky, it is too late. We'll see you on the other side, folks. Have a great night.